What up? This is Rama Screen, and it's time for another celeb interview. And I'm giving you guys something different today. Usually, it's about promoting an upcoming movie, but now we want to put a spotlight on a company that's determined to help out indie films everywhere. I'm here talking with the head of the Film Arcade Carousel, Lindsay Lanzalotta. How you doing, Lindsay?
Good. I'm good. How are you, Rama?
Good, good, good. Thank you for taking the time. I almost tripped over there a little bit. so,
That's okay.
so Lindsay, I want to start by giving you the opportunity to explain to my fans what is the Film Arcade Carousel, what is its mission statement, and its objective.
Absolutely. So to give you a little bit of history about the Film Arcade itself, the Film Arcade is a distribution company for North American theatrical that has been around for a number of years and is a sister company to a company called Cold Iron Pictures. And then Carousel was born out of the need to service indie films that have to be aggregated and beyond. It all and aggregation is also like something that not everybody understands. So you need a third party to help you put on your film onto like Amazon or Google Play or iTunes, and and it went beyond that for us because we are filmmakers ourselves at the Film Arcade and at Cold Iron Pictures. And what we wanted to do is provide services that we've been providing through the Film Arcade for larger studios with their indies, which is to help service put their film out and control their distribution and also control their distribution costs. So therefore, we have a very a la carte menu on our website of consulting services that comes in very early on to the very latest. You can come to us before your film's made or after your film's made, and we can do the simplest of things, meaning we can be your aggregator, but we can also help you put your film out with theatrical releasing, virtual screening releasing, depending on what's going on in the world, as well as like helping you get pitching your film to um, SVOD or AVOD, and as well as helping you with a social media campaign or any kind of campaign you want to do, whether it be an awards campaign. So really, we're here to help underserved films, which that is a very broad statement because that can be films from anywhere in the world. We're focusing on reach out to films for under the budget of $2 million because they're often the films that don't sell for huge amounts of money and need to find a home and aren't necessarily thrilled with the deals that are being offered to them. So this is just something that I'm here to educate and teach filmmakers. I know that I've taken a deal for a film that I've made that I wasn't that happy with. And if I'd had some more control in how that to navigate how to have the right distribution plan for my film and had the consultation to do so, I may have chosen a different path. If I also, you have to plan for this financially as well for your indie.
So let's stay on that so I can wrap my head around that a little bit more. So usually independent filmmakers would have their projects or their movies go through film festival circuits in hopes that their movies would get picked up for distribution. So when that doesn't happen, they then could turn to you guys for service to help connect them with potential either theatrical or digital streaming distributions, correct?
Right. We can help. Well, you can actually, what servicing a film means also is like you can pay us to do whatever you want, right? I mean, you can have the Film Arcade's name on it, Film Arcade Carousel's name out as your distribution company. But
Oh,
like for an example, I'll use a really large example because people know this film a little more. Peanut Butter Falcon, for instance, is a full service deal. They were given offers from some companies, I'm sure, they chose to pay to release their film from within their team, right? So therefore, I mean, they did that on a grand scale, right? And it worked out well for them, and they had bigger stars in their film. So if you're thinking, that's why I say at the very smallest, if you just want to aggregate your film and put it up on iTunes and Amazon, so that you have the option of sharing it with your family, sharing it with your friends, sharing it with the people that support or your niche market, then you can do something very small like that. But if you feel like your film is an awards qualifying film and you haven't gotten the attention, you can also find your way to service that. And if you have executive producers or you're financing it yourself, I like to present it as this is insurance. This is distribution insurance for your film that you should plan for in advance. If you don't have to use it and you sell at Sundance for $10 million, like I'm congratulating you, huge. Like that's what everybody wants. But also, there are different paths that can be something that you can control without giving the rights to your film away for years and years and years to another company and sitting behind distribution costs that you may not know what they were and you may not like the way that was navigated. And as a with indie films, they're usually made and birthed with so much love that the filmmakers know best for their film, and we like to invite that into the conversation as well as like that and advise on what's the best thing to do. Having run a distribution company for a number of years with the Film Arcade, you have the access to just discuss these plans with us because we're true lovers of indie film.
The $2 million thing, is that set in stone or
No,
can that be flexible?
no. We've actually had a larger film come to us. There was a few $1,000,000, and I mean, I've had films as small as $25,000 come to us that like look incredible. That you're like, okay, this is fantastic. So yes, we know someone that made a very art house film that was over $2 million, and we definitely engaged in that conversation. Absolutely, I think that um, we know how to do it on a grander scale. So if that's what you want, like we absolutely can help with that as well.
This pandemic has been messing with a lot of productions. Either they get shut down or they get pushed back. But when you hear when we hear news like, oh, the Batman resumes filming, it's like, of course, they got the backing of the giant Warner Brothers. But that's not the case a lot for independent filmmaking. So do you guys help in that end of the production, or do you guys only do the when the film's already wrapped up?
Well, it's interesting because one of the filmmaker was very interested in hearing about Carousel, and I had a call with her yesterday, and she was asking, can you help? Could you help advise us on like line producing or how much we should do it for, or what our festival route should be like from very early on. And all of those things are really like, yes, on a case by case basis, we certainly can help with those things. And if it's a situation like we're not the hugest company in the world, so if we have something going on that's just that is consuming us, we can certainly match make. Like we've worked with other vendors, other producers. We're certainly there to help, but we'd love to do it from within first and then take it from there. But yes, very open to helping because um, we've done it. We've already shot a film during COVID in Israel. We did our first foreign language film out of Cold Iron Pictures, and now we're starting an independent television series shooting in November in Palm Springs. So there's like a number of things that we are starting to learn about with COVID as well, that I'm happy to impart those wisdoms to anyone because, you know, we're still making indies ourselves. And like you said, it's a little easier when you have the money to throw around and make, Batman. You can afford plexiglass, but not everybody can. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
No,
Yes, I've participated in a lot of those groups that are discussing, how to proceed with production safely. So that's something that uh, we advise everybody do in these times, of course.
Um, one thing that when I read the press release, one thing that caught my eye and captured my interest, it says indie filmmakers are finding less avenues for distributing their films as streamers or streaming services ramped up their productions and acquisitions of big name titles. That is most certainly true when we're talking about streamers like Netflix, Hulu, or Prime Video that either produce their own stuff or acquire big titles from film festivals for award consideration season. But there are streamers that are niche focused, like Shudder for horror genre, and there's also Sundance Select. I guess my question is, why do you think these streamers are moving away or distancing themselves from indie projects? And do you think they should perhaps create an extension that would focus on indie films, like maybe Netflix Plus or Hulu Plus, something like that?
Well, internally, I think each streamer has a certain plan with indies. What they define as an indie is different from what perhaps you and I define as an indie. and probably more comfortable indies working at in the millions, not in the thousands, for instance. So not to say that they wouldn't acquire a really well executed film, as we know, and they would, and that can happen. But I do believe that that there should be more support to help build the filmmakers that they want to have. A lot of the expectations that filmmakers should have certain things in line, or certain connections, or certain things to have a film greenlit through them is a challenge, and something that I lean into hard with trying to change that, because a lot of that is not allowing for people that haven't had opportunity before. As we know, the numbers just with women alone of how few filmmakers there are that have had the opportunity to get where they are. Um, it's really important to state your case to those streamers, and also and I know they all have mandates and things like that, but we have to hold them to those mandates to increase the diversity with which they're choosing. Because, as you know, I think it's really wonderful that that some of the smaller streamers are niche, because that will allow for all of us to find um, be able to place our film somewhere that it's really meant to be, right? Like, and we'll find our audience. I think that's helpful. It's still developing though, because, for instance, like you or I would know to do that, but I'm not sure. Like, I'm from Toronto. Like, a couple of my friends in Toronto that don't really know, they wouldn't know where to go other than Netflix, right? It's just the behemoth that it is, and it's not a bad behemoth, but it's also like we need to keep propping up, which is why also we want to have all of those outlets as options for films that come through Carousel, like to lay it out. And we're trying to have more relationships with companies like that, so that we can help place those films in, and help prop up those new streamers that are coming up, that you worry whether they're actually going to survive, whether they're going to have enough traffic into that, and to keep that like healthy indie population of watching films alive. I mean, I can't say that there's like um a solution, because it's uh it would be nice if we went back like 20 years, when every I don't know whether it's 20 years now. How old am I? I'm like, let's see here, like maybe like 15 years ago, before the last economic collapse, where there was a lot more support for indie filmmaking, like under $5 million, but through the studios. But things have changed so much. That's why a carousel is part of this necessary change, really, for options.
That's awesome, and I commend you for that. I knew you've been. I looked you up. You've been producing movies since 2005, correct, or longer
Yes.
than that?
Yeah, maybe probably longer there. I'm sure there's some ones that are pre-digital that aren't up there. Yeah.
So I guess my question to you: why do you personally take this on as your crusade when other producers probably would be like, I'm just going to continue to play in my own sandbox?
Um, it's interesting that you should ask that. I think it was shortly after I made a movie called The Invitation, that it really came to a head for me, hearing about the experiences of Karin Kusama, the director on that, and how her career had gone. And she was so blatantly honest. There's some wonderful articles written um, about her experience around that time, particularly one in the LA Times that she told me, and then I read, and I was like, you know, I really love making movies. This is truly, I wouldn't do it if I didn't love it so much. And for me, it was really like, I want to continue to entertain everyone, but I do want to um, like make a difference with the films that I make. And I know that putting a smile on someone's face is making a difference, but uh, that's when it became much more about uh, well, for me personally, I was like, I wanted to start a company that was all women. Like, at that time, I was like thinking of trying to, because the numbers were coming out about how bad they were, and I was losing my mind a little bit. But then it just became like every step from then on, I think I just had more awareness. For a long time, I was like just trying to do what everyone's doing in the business, and now I really do try to pick projects um, for still entertainment value, but also to like break down some of those barriers. That goes for me as an indie producer, and also like for my reach out with Carousel, and that's like to invite everybody in, but like and for everyone to know that there's a place for them. Um, but I don't know why in particular. Um, I feel like a lot of filmmakers are doing all of this now, but it just feels like the numbers aren't moving fast enough. So I feel like if we're not vocal on that these changes need to happen, then and actually consciously be aware and do them. Like I used to be afraid of saying that out loud in this business and then just being pushed away, but I don't really care. I think that maybe has come with a little bit of age. You know, I have less fear about how that will be received.
All right. Thank you for sharing that. And lastly, where can my fans find out more about the Film Arcade Carousel? More importantly, how can independent filmmakers out there reach out to you guys for your services? What website? Where do
Oh
they
yeah,
go to? What social media accounts?
absolutely. Yeah, should look up the Film Arcade on Instagram and Twitter, and then also Carousel is if you go on the Film Arcade website, there's a the with Film Arcade. Then Carousel is at the top, and you can just in the center, and you can just click on that, and it has we're all about transparency. So it has a list, it has prices, and obviously these are all things that can be discussed in detail. If there's something that's not there that you want to discuss, we're happy to discuss it as well. And at the very bottom, my email's there too. I know I told you my last name's a little challenging, so it's llanzalotta at thefilmarcade.com, but there's also Lindsay at coldironpictures.com. That's Lindsay with an A. So yes, part of transparency is being available to the filmmakers. So therefore, I like to make sure that my email is out there, and anyone can reach us, and our office number's there as well. And yeah, reach out to us any way through Twitter, Instagram, and directly through email. It's my job to respond.
All right, for my fans at home, everybody go check out the Film Arcade Carousel. Lindsay, this is an awesome thing. Thank you so much for
Thank
talking to
you,
me and
Rama.
congratulations.
Thank you for your sincere interest. I really appreciate it.